Oi, oi, hiya guys, welcome back to the martinliedtke channel. Got an interesting guest for you all today. We're going to have a little chat. Samuel Chong, have had a brief hangout with this guy, with the gang from the Alien event, with the one with Brad Olson on, yeah? Back about, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. I didn't actually make it to the event, but I do remember, above all of the other people, Samuel, which was really strange because we made a connection and he's coming to talk to us. So welcome, Samuel, to my channel. You are very, very welcome here on martinliedtke channel. We're happy to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I was born in Beijing, China, and now I'm a lawyer in California doing criminal and civil litigations. And also I'm also very interested in the esoteric knowledge about ancient civilizations and why some people still have the knowledge of the past, especially certain secret societies that have such knowledge to predict the future as well as seeing into the past, and why there are so many great resets of our ancient civilizations, and why we are so into the some kind of unknown, and especially given the current political circumstances, we are not as wise as our civilizations in the past. So I'm very interested in uncovering the knowledge of the past, as well as seeking guidance from possibly ETs that already have a very advanced civilization and trying to guide us and help us, mentoring us into the right path.
Well, that's super interesting, I must say. I don't think along the same lines as yourself, but I do think there are others. Okay, I don't know what, but I do think there are others that have been here before. Definitely a big purveyor on the reset of civilization. So the controllers with this information, who do you think are the controllers? How did they come with this information? Basically, what I'm suggesting is they know they can hack the matrix. They know how this place works. They can predict future events. They can, they can do pretty much anything. It's like esokinesis. They can dictate reality. So how do you think that all of this is happening, and who is doing this?
I think in the early days when most people had such knowledge, it's the clergy, the religious people, or the religious organizations that kept control of the knowledge to the people. Because in the ancient past, like people in Africa, they could levitate. This is actually a known fact. And also people in South America, some of the tribes, Indian tribes, they still communicate through telepathy. So this is the psychic abilities of the people, that people used to have such abilities, but the clergy, the people from especially the Catholic Church, they kept people ignorant about such innate or natural abilities, and how they should practice to achieve such abilities or psychic abilities. So gradually people lost the knowledge. And also there are several great resets according to the book Theoba Prophecy, one of which was in the ancient past, 1.32 million years ago, there was a natural disaster in which an asteroid hit Earth, causing a massive flood and also volcanic activities.
Yeah,
A lot of people,
yeah,
a lot of people died and they lost the knowledge. And the second great reset, according to this book, is like 14,500 years ago, caused by another natural disaster, earthquake, on the continent of Lemuria in the Pacific Ocean, in which people had a great civilization. No money was used because people were highly spiritual, and they were able to treat each other very compassionately, not taking advantage of each other. They just grabbed everything they needed from the supermarket, from the marketplace, without giving anything in exchange, because no one took advantage of each other. But unfortunately, that civilization went down, and also a lot of the knowledge kept in the Library of Alexandria in Egypt was disappeared because of the burning of the library. But unfortunately, some people in Germany and some people in Tibet, some people in India had such knowledge from some of the people who went from Lemuria into these different places, and also teaching the locals how they were able to achieve this kind of psychic abilities, and also passing on the ancient knowledge. So this is why I believe that some people, especially the higher members of the secret societies, have this kind of esoteric knowledge or ancient knowledge. And I want to mention a book that I translated from German into English called 334 per thousand lies, documenting the how the author went from regular German student into being the highest degree chair of the Illuminati, and how they're able to see the past and predict the future. So some people say why the Illuminati cards are so accurate. So I see that this book gives the answer.
I'm in the Illuminati cards. I've got me a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I juggled with these thoughts myself, Samuel, but I think that they're just not telling us the real secret here. I'm thinking that it's actually all us and that all is mind, and it's us that's doing it. Meeting like a divine character, and feeling blessed by his presence. That's surely a thing, but that's you too. You're as divine. And that's the thing, there's no separation. We are all that divine, I'm sure, with your occupation and everything you do, you stand in your own power. But what I'm saying is, I think that the Illuminati, they can predict the future, like what happened 5 years ago, by predictively programming the people into manifesting it into reality, because all is mind. So they're guiding the consciousness into apocalypse, guiding consciousness into a reset. So they don't actually have to do it. All they got to do is control the minds, and the people do it for them. That's what the camper I was thinking, because I really do think all is mind in this place.
You are right. However, the book 334 per thousand lies reveals the secret. What the Illuminati people are afraid of. They're afraid of the power of the mass, the collective consciousness. So no matter how strong their psychic abilities are, they're afraid of the power of the people. If all the people collectively think about one thing using our collective mind power, then they're not going to be able to resist the power of the mind of the mass. So this is why they are encouraging us to act together, to know how they achieve these psychic abilities and see how we can act in unified fashion to rise up against their what their agendas are.
Well,
And so this is what they're trying to tell us.
Well, they have mystic men, and they have holy men, and they've learned these ancient crafts, and they are psychic. But that's their side, yeah. But our side, we also have psychics. We also have holy men. Okay, we have the same things, the same kung fu on our side. Only ours is truthful and righteous. So by that nature, I always think that good will prevail over evil. It just seems to be the natural thing, because if there's darkness and you light a candle, the darkness is gone. So I always think that good will prevail in this place. But where do you think things are going in the near future? Got Trump coming out with the alien agenda, so he's definitely saying that that's true, isn't he? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting where things are going, and people are starting to wake up. I just want to illustrate how the future lies ahead of us. It's just like a teacher giving us an exam, and the questions or the problems are already made by the teacher or came up by the teacher. We are the students trying to solve the problems or answer the questions. So the questions are fixed. So certain critical points, certain nodes in the future are fixed. But in terms of how we respond to the challenges that are lying ahead of us in the future, depends on us, how we respond to such questions or problems. So we do have our free will to respond in a way to get a perfect score on the test, on the exam. But we can also fail the exam intentionally or unintentionally. So really up to us how we respond to our future problems or challenges. So the future is actually fixed to a certain extent, but we do have our free will to respond to the challenges.
Well, it's fixed to a certain extent, but it's going to change. The paradigm is going to change also dramatically within the next year or two. Really, really dramatically, because AI, it's getting prepared. We're giving it the knowledge. It's going to be making faultless business models. It's going to be making, things just broken before much more efficient in every way. Everything is going to be better. So there's that rolled out in the next year or two. So the world will change profoundly. And there is, it'll be as big a change as when the internet arrived for us all, or only bigger, I think.
Yeah, I see AI is going to change a lot of things depending on how we use AI. If we use AI to really focus on material wealth through the differences in terms of the knowledge, then I think is going to lead us to a catastrophe. However, if we use AI to elevate ourselves spiritually, then I think it's going to provide us with a bright future.
I've asked AI a load of, spiritual questions and questions about the nature of reality. And it just wants to agree with it just wants to toe the party line. It comes out with, all the official mainstream narratives as a reality without any proven. And I'll pull it up on it, I'll pull it up on, where's the proof? And it's like, I can see what you're doing here, Martin. And then you've got to tell it the truth, and then it'll come back with the truth. It's just, you've got to tell it. It doesn't know.
Exactly. It doesn't have the real knowledge, the real spiritual knowledge. It's just some kind of algorithm to come up with the answer that sounds perfect.
Yeah, exactly that. It is. So interesting where you think we're going. So you think, do you take much notice of the mainstream fear that goes on, this, the stage show with Trump and wars and all the rest of it? Or do you realize that it's just theater for the masses to keep them fast asleep so they don't do the spiritual work and advance in this place, which is what we're supposed to be doing, growing together and learning together? They just hijack consciousness, don't they, into all of these little portals of BS that people will spend literally decades in, gone. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I think if you look at the great revolutions in the world, most of the real changes come from the bottom, come from the grassroots at the grassroots level. It doesn't really come from the top or top politicians. If you look at China, if you look at a lot of different countries like in France, it's the people who really wanted the change, and then the politicians were forced to make the changes. Probably not in the UK, but in most other countries, that's how things went successfully. The great changes that made people's lives much better. So I think it's really up to the power of the people to whether to make such changes or not. I don't give a lot of hope to the politicians. I really want to start a grassroots movement so that people can wake up and really act together in unison and also rise up against the tyrannies in the world.
Agreed. The thing is, there's so much division and fear amongst people, and with all the different dialectics that play, and it's just on social media, it's just a wash of and fear, and that's what I'd like to do, is rid people of fear, because at the end of the day, if all is mind, there's nothing really out there. This place is an illusion. What's there to be scared of? So exactly. I'm sure the Dalai Lama will tell you exactly the same. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you study past life experiences or near-death experiences and reincarnation, you're going to realize that we are using our physical body as a tool to elevate our spiritual awareness or spiritual lessons, learn the spiritual lessons that we have to learn in this lifetime. Because if you look at Napoleon, he conquered a vast territory in Europe and also in Asia. When he died, he didn't take away anything. So we were born this way, and when we leave this world, we don't take away any material wealth at all.
Exactly.
So it's the spiritual lessons, what we do here, are engraved in our memories of the astral body. So when we pass, our astral body leaves the physical body, and then there's the life reveal process in which everything we did in the lifetime is shown to us like a holographic film.
Yeah.
We are able to feel and experience not only our own feelings and experiences, but also the people who dealt with us. For example, if I hit a person, the pain and sufferings of the other person will be felt by me in the astral form, in the holographic form. So that's the process we have to go through. And then we learn what we did correctly, and we realize what we did incorrectly. And then we decide what kind of spiritual lessons to learn in the next lifetime when we reincarnate. So we determine or we choose the kind of families we are born into and the kind of challenges we're going to face in the next life. And actually, the early Christians believed in reincarnation in the past.
No, I never knew that. No. Really?
Yes, is the Catholic Church that erased the concept of reincarnation from the Bible that caused the nowadays Christians not believing in such things anymore. But there are a lot of scientists, like medical doctors, who study this, like Dr. Michael Newton, Dr. Brian Weiss, Dr. Ian Stevenson. So they confirm the fact that we do have different reincarnations and we do have past lives.
Have you ever had regression or any recollection of previous incarnations?
For myself, I don't, because once we determine what kind of lives to be born into, the memory is erased.
Erased.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering about, but because I was thinking, okay, you make these spiritual gains and you learn these lessons, and then you get to the next life and it's all wiped out. What did you learn in the last? But I can see what you're saying there. It's just that specific one element to your spiritual growth that you've mastered, and then on to the next discipline, isn't it? This could take X amount of lives. But where would you say we eventually get to? What, the nirvana state? What, a state of just energy? What?
Well, it's kind of like a form of energy, and we do have electrons in our astral body. So what we do is that we elevate our spiritual development, or we learn the spiritual lessons, and then we move up the ladder. So we are, according to the book Theory of Prophecy, and I agree that we are on category 1 planet, the lowest category of planets in the universe. So we are learning the basic lessons like elementary school students. But when we elevate ourselves, we can move up to maybe a category 2 planet or maybe a category 3 planet up to the highest level, which is the category 9 planet. And the author of Theory of Prophecy went to. And after that, the people on the category 9 planet can join and rejoin the great ether, which is a pure spirit. So that is kind of like a blissful experience, and is the most comfortable and most exciting experience one can experience. And actually, speaking of such experiences, when a person dies, he or she will experience a similar kind of comfort or experience. So this is why a lot of people who had near-death experiences tell us that they've seen the heaven or they've seen the paradise, and they're in a great comfort, and they don't want to come back because they're so comfortable and they want to enjoy that kind of moment of bliss. And the reason they want to come back is not because of their own experiences, but because of they have to take care of their family members. They have their missions unfulfilled. They have to like finish what they're here for. So this is why they decided to come back. Otherwise, they would have just remained in that state of experience.
Yeah, I touched that once. I did get that once, that state of experience, and I would have given anything to get it back. And I'd only had it for a fleeting glimpse, touch my toe in eternity, basically. But what I felt was undescribable. I would have given anything to get to that state. So that's how I imagine, advanced lamas and holy men being in a state of ecstaticism, constantly feeling elated, and they don't need any material things, because what for? They probably don't even need that much food. But when you talk about planets, I think of it in realms of experience. Yeah, definitely we're in a lower entropy place. This is like what some people say is prison planet, don't they? Yeah. Well, I think it's a hell realm, like purgatory in the Bible, where we're subjected to a place of mind that, if the mind is controlled, we can bring in a heaven on earth, okay, which is beautiful, yeah, or we can bring in hell on earth, which is evident for many people in this realm, because they've had their mind controlled and pushed in that direction. I notice you talk about wellness and positivity and positive mental attitude. That is the key to everything in this place. That's the winning formula for a long and a healthy, youthful life, is basically thinking positively, if you can.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do think everything positively, especially when I have challenges or encounter difficulties in life, because I see those as difficult problems to solve. If you're learning, if you're gradually learning through the process, if you're given all the easy questions, 1 + 1 = what, always like these easy questions, then you don't learn as much. But if you are given like problems or questions like calculus, then you'll learn a lot. So I see the challenges in life are the difficult questions or problems to solve. And by solving those difficult challenges, you're learning more and more, and you're gaining a lot more than just encountering an easy life.
But in fact, in reality, we have all we need right in front of us, don't we? If you've got your health and your faculties, then everything is really groovy, isn't it? What more do you need?
Yes.
Yeah, but I noticed in this realm, I picked up on a Freud video, a bit of a Freudist lately, but he said about how some people, no matter how old they were, just stayed youthful in the face. You could have really grey hair, a grey beard, but the face, and you see this with lamas and holy men, don't you? They're just so youthful and beautiful in the face. They're just there, aren't they? And that stays right till the end. But it's funny, my mother, when she passed over, she grinned and smiled like it was all okay. Like the stress of this place is over.
Yes, indeed.
Mm.
I sometimes do feel that as well. I hope that I can leave this world as soon as possible.
Well, if you can leave it a better state than when you arrived, you did something good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do know that the mindset is really important to one's health, because not do we have our physical body, we have our astral body, and our mindset influences the astral body, or some people would say
By yourself.
the chakras or the
Chakra.
auras.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, and those influence the physical body. So if your mindset is correct, if your mindset is positive, it's going to give you a positive influence on the chakras, and a positive influence on the auras, and a positive influence on the physical body. So that's the key for the fountain of youth.
Well, I've also found that this soul living in the meatbag avatar, if you like, has been around a long time. Apparently, I've been doing this warrior spiritual battle thing for quite some time now, turns out. And I will be into the future as well, because apparently this is my role in this place. Really weirdly. I don't know who I am. And I asked this question and I got told, nobody can tell you this. You have to find out for yourself. So that's what I've been trying to do. The one that sees. I've had abilities and stuff, and it's just been really weird that, sticking me in the world of normal people. Well, it's like a comedy movie, Samuel. You know?
Yeah, it's just like a play, like a comedy movie. We all
Yeah,
have our roles to play in life. We have our missions. We have our kind of goals in life. And my goal is to wake people up. I know my mission already, so it's just something I'm trying to do the best I can, and across different cultures, across different religions, and different races of people, and trying to teach a uniformed spiritual message.
beautiful. That's what all I want for everybody too. That's it. And we are all, there's no separation between us. If you think of like spooky action at a distance, like you just mentioned, the electron and everything else, the astral form, but all of us, we're just in the same suit together. If I can like literally think about my friend, bing, they're just instant psychic, just like reading my mind, because we're all like it. We're all that psychic. Yeah. I think that a lot of the archaic educational system for the masses, not the classical better education or the Ivy League education. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the comprehensives of British schools, which is pretty low educational system. That unplugs a lot of the psychicness, with the images of trees and cats and animals, and then they attach a word to it. You lose. I think it all happens then, because I can remember being just completely magical to the age of 5 or 6, and then overnight, click of a finger, it all stopped. And then I'm in this realm, which is not the same realm as I think I'm in now. I don't think this place is the same place as before 2020. If so, why doesn't it look the same? Okay. Why is everyone acting so differently? Is
Yeah.
it me that's changed, or is everybody else that's changed? Something's happened.
It's very interesting that you mentioned your own experience, because I know that the people in China and India are discovering that children are easier to rediscover their psychic abilities. So they're basically training their children to uncover the psychic abilities that they used to have. So what they do is that they try to make the children meditate and concentrate on, and they're able to do a lot of the things that unthinkable things, such as be like they're able to tell the colors of certain cards when blindfolded, and they're able to use their
Touch,
mind. Yes,
touch. Yeah,
yes, as well.
yeah.
Yes, and they're also able to use their minds to move objects around, and make objects disappear and reappear at a different location. So they're able to do such things after certain forms of training. And there are a lot of documentaries in China, India on this. And even though the government doesn't really promote this, the people are discovering that the psychic abilities are innate abilities that the children have, and adults can also practice, but they need to really go back to the natural state of mind without any kind of the monkey mind
Yeah,
anymore.
cause the confusion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the wholeness back,
yeah, yeah. The wholeness back, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what we're all working on, isn't it? To be whole. Yeah, super interesting. Yeah. Sorry, I just sidetracked there in my mind. So you just got me thinking. Yeah, my earliest memory, Samuel, is me trying to move objects. Why would I do that as a little tiny toddler? And I did manage to levitate for a split second. I can do the lotus position and hold my body off the floor. I still do it now. I used to train by holding my body off the floor in a lotus position for maybe half an hour at a time. Yeah. But I would put a pillow underneath me and remove my hands. And I removed my hands the one time, and there was a slight interval between me and hitting the floor. A noticeable stop. I didn't fall directly, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I was like, wow, I did it. So I knew then that, that was available, that we could do stuff like that. I thought, why am I so different from lamas of the high Tibetan plateau? Why can they do these unbelievable things? What makes them so different from me? Why can't, you know? So that's what I've been trying to unlock. And I think if this place is maybe some sort of technology, then all you need to do is set your mind and you can hack it. You can do exactly what they're doing. Yeah. See into the future is a really good one. I've been doing that. And so you can basically know thy enemy and know yourself as well. That's the biggest one, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And indeed, I know another person who could levitate when he was young. What he did was that he practiced a qigong, a form of qigong in China, and he fasted for a few days. He was able to absorb energy from nature, so he didn't need to eat or drink anything.
Yeah,
And
breathtaking.
then,
Yeah,
yeah,
just absorbing it. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
yeah. And then what he did was he imagined the energy flowing from the stomach dantian area into this kind of area, and then from the top of the head to the spinal area, and then like a cosmic circle. And then after doing that for a few times, and he just totally forgot himself. He was kind of like a part of nature, and then he just floated, levitated.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how he did it.
Wow. Do you know the energy, the life force that drives us, the energy? Would you say that that was chi energy or prana?
Yeah, chi or prana, or I would say the astral energy.
So do you, this astral energy, this astral realm, some people regard it as a higher self, don't they? Like it all happens first year, and this is just a reflection of this astral, place. Would you say
Well,
that?
well, our astral body is connected to the higher self. So the higher self is actually a form of energy as well, but our physical body is actually connected to our astral body, which is connected to our higher self. So we can premeditate and connect more closely to our higher self. So this is why sometimes meditation gives you the extraordinary abilities,
I'm
and
not sure if
also,
I'm done with it, really.
yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm the captain of my ship. I don't this other astral projection thing. It better be done with everything that I'm doing. Okay. I know it's the subconscious, like you mentioned earlier. You have to, with the difficulties, the challenges that we have in life, your mind or your subconscious will construct a negative around it, like, oh, this could happen, or what if that happens? And then we just worry and make ourselves ill. Why would this, our own subconscious create a narrative? Well, it's for us to learn, isn't it? And
Yes.
make the mistakes. If you can't make the mistakes, how are you supposed to learn? So there's that. So seems really cruel, doesn't it? But it's not. It's a kind beast. I know the universe has been really, really kind, especially with the awakening that people are going through. It's not given the veil is lifting, but it's not all lifted in one go. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people out there that think they're being guided by others. I don't give my power away to anybody. I think that we are all powerful, each and every one of us. And if you give it over to somebody else, then they got a little bit of your energy. I'm not doing that, me myself personally. I think and yourself. I can see your soul essence when I look at you. You look like you might be 1,000 years old or 20 years old. It's a very strange experience, but I can see you. You know what I mean? But it really is. I take on board what other people have learned in this place, but I'm doing my own experience of what I've, because a lot of the things that I've experienced, there's nobody that can tell me or explain in this reality what it is. Okay, nobody, and I can't argue, and I can't really prove these things. Yeah, that I know these have happened. So there's that, and it's definitely not the realm that they're telling us. So there's that. But I think it's our minds that are doing it, making ourselves ill. I think we do it through worry. My boss is giving me hell. I think I'll have a cold so I don't have to go into work today. So,
Yeah. You know, when I look at those kind of issues, I just see them as problems to solve, like another problem, mathematical problem to solve. Okay, here's a different one. So how should I navigate the system and to solve it? So this is how I respond to such things.
That's really good. That's a
Yeah.
brilliant way of sorting it out. Yeah, and that is the way to sort it out without beating yourself up or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I do the same. You know, I think, yeah, I just shirk things off and say, yeah, of course I can do it. But I do know my parameters. But my mind thinks limitless, you know, with limitless possibilities. I'd love to see a day where, you know, the controllers, you know, the way that they got this place just ceased to be. But I don't. I think it's a little bit excessive. The French Revolution, you know, to decapitate the hierarchy, the elites. It's a little bit extreme to get a republic. And you know, Plato said all civilizations are set to fail anyway. Definitely democracy in a reset circle, and then start all over again using religions and deities. So there's that.
Yeah, speaking of that, I want to point out that the book Theory of Prophecy kind of criticizes the dictatorship of government, but also says that the multi-party system is not good either. So it's kind of suggests like a different form of government in which people are selected based on their knowledge, their compassionate nature, and also their abilities, and then so they form like a council of 7 or 8 whatever number of people, and then the council decides everything democratically by voting, and so there's no multi-party system in which the Democrats or the Labor has to cave down to the demands of the other party, the oppositions. So this way is more efficient in terms of getting things done, and then also at the same time making sure that the decisions are for the best benefit of the people.
It's a good idea. What went wrong? Yeah, so the world is in a bit of a state. Britain, the country I'm in, is on the brink of civil war, and that is not just a conspiracy. You've got to be here to believe it. So, but they are, you know, pushing towards that. The government are pushing towards that. They want instability, they want trouble, and they want everyone at one another's necks. And you know, that is happening. But you know, I'm just praying that, you know, everybody just wakes up and sees the mainstream for what it is, you know, just fear porn and lies as well. Okay.
That's the reason I got my law degree, and also I'm a lawyer now. I'm trying to sway the opinions of the my colleagues. I'm going to try my best and to let them know what's really going on.
Yeah, I don't think. Are you sure they're going to be actually interested? Because basically, it's just a business, isn't it? Turn them in, turn them out, make a few. It's money, isn't it? Isn't that what it's about?
Some people are open to the ideas, and I'll do my best and try to, you know, when you just like what says in the Bible, when you spread the seeds, and some seeds will grow into plants and some will not.
Seeds to a tree. Yeah,
Yes.
that's all I do is plant seeds. I'm not pushing anything. I just show my evidence.
Yeah.
But you know, if you go through with religion, if everyone, you know, Jesus said what this place is. The kingdom of heaven is inside. That's what he said. He knew everything was mind in this place, and a state of mind that can give you bliss in this place. You know, I can give myself just unbelievable good feelings and nice, you know, goose pimples and everything, just feeling good thoughts about the place and how beautiful this is and that is. And oh, that was a nice little interaction with that human being. Zzz. These little things in life is what it's all about, I believe, I think, really.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus and Christ, I think people should follow the teachings of Christ, but not a specific religion, because spirituality and religion are two different things. Religions are made by the people and organized by people, so they're called organized religions. And people should be spiritual and follow what Jesus or Christ really taught us, not the Catholic Church for that reason. And actually, the Catholic Church is really wealthy, and I don't know if they're using the money to the right purpose, and definitely there are some distortions of the ancient scriptures that they did. Um, So I do think I do want to encourage your audience and the people to read the book Theory About Prophecy, because that really explains a lot of discrepancies in the Bible. For example, why Jesus never performed miracles before the age of 30, and why some people say that Jesus went to India, and why there's a tomb of Jesus in Japan, and people can search on the internet find out um, there is a tomb in Shingo Village, Japan. Who is really Christ? And what's the reason that he died on the cross and then resurrected 3 days after? Why 3 days? Why, like the in Tibetan culture, is there a culture that the corpse of the dead are not to be touched for 3 days? So why 3 days? And why Christ resurrected? So that's the reason that the reason is that he wanted to teach us, to show us that there's life after death. And that's the whole purpose of resurrection. So this book actually explains or connects all the dots that people may wonder in the Bible. And one of the things is that when after Christ began to preach, when he saw his mother, why did he call his mother woman? To an Asian person, like in Asian cultures, it's really impolite. In front of all the people, in front of the crowd, you don't call your mother mother, you call your mother woman. Why is that? So this book actually explains all the mysteries that people may have wondered about in the Bible.
Totally interesting. Yeah, I think maybe he was performing miracles after the age of 13 because he joined the Essenes. There is some evidence that he was, and they were like a little mystical order of magic men, weren't they? And I definitely think he went off to Kashmir. But isn't the similarities between Krishna and Jesus, which is a vibrationally nearly identical word, Christ, vibrationally it's the same word, that Krishna was the same, wasn't he? Resurrected after 3 days, immaculate conception of a virgin mother, all of the same narrative as Jesus Christ. Is that correct? And Buddha as well, isn't it?
It may be. Yeah, immaculation. Yeah, immaculation of the Virgin Mary actually explained in the book is due to the embryo in the Virgin Mary. So it's actually she was implanted an embryo.
Well, I actually myself, that's just me. I've got a couple of books that give you hard evidence that this might be the case by Wilson and Blackett, two famous Welsh historians. That Jesus was buried here in South Wales. He came here with Joseph of Arimathea, survived the crucifixion. He came here with his uncle, who was a shipping magnate or a tycoon with metal. Had the money, came to Glastonbury, then he came to Wales. And there's a lot of ancient documentation in the Gallic journals to say a lot of this happened. And there's a lot of tie-overs with the narrative of King Arthur and Jesus Christ being like the same person, right? But he's convinced. I've even seen the site myself of the resting place of Joseph of Arimathea here in the centre of Cardiff. And Jesus is supposed to be buried out in East Wales as well. And I really do think that, just personally, because I'd like to believe that it's true, you see, Samuel. Okay. So I think it is. This is a very holy place where I am in Wales. It's the most mystical, magical place. And I've travelled everywhere, and I can tell you nothing vibrationally feels like Wales. Yeah. It's just electric energy, magnetic energy. You can feel it. Yeah. Ancient magical energy. Love it.
Energy is everything.
Energy is everything. But sharing my consciousness with the whole world has been very unusual. And then I found that I could make things change as well. I didn't want to change people's minds, but I do want to get them out of fear. Because, I've had so many people just scared to death of so many things that weren't actually real, or if they were, there isn't any evidence for. And I've done it myself. You know, I've spent years and years feared because of something that the mainstream told me that I should be scared of, without actually doing my due diligence and seeing if any of this was true. Which it never is, by the way. So there's that.
You know, there are a lot of things that have been reversed by scientists years later. For example, we used to believe that Earth was the center of the universe, something
Yeah.
like that.
Right, yeah.
But,
Copernicus, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but really, we do have to look at the things from a different angle and perspective, and really to find the evidence on our own, and to really see and question the narratives of the government or mainstream media.
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been looking for evidence for this spinning ball thing that everyone keeps talking about in a vacuum of space. 10 years I've been looking and seeking, and no luck. No luck with the old spinny ballage. All we get is cartoons off NASA or Bezos's Katy Perry, which just like, just it just puts a big splatter in a doubt on all of it. I'm just saying, this is just for the world stage and for the masses. Personally, none of us, you won't, I won't, none of us will ever experience or see this globe, because we won't be out in space. You see, they say that we're going out in space, and I'm sure you've met people that have gone out in space, but it's only like about 600, isn't it?
Yeah.
In all of humanity, not too many women. They just started to bring them in, so that's only 600 in. How many do they say is in this place? Billions, they say, don't they?
Yeah.
I need evidence, brother. That's not enough for me. So same with everything, really. I think there's some sort of technology at play. Seems ancient, and I can interact with it, and I've proved it over and over again. So I think there's a technology, like a kind of holography, if you like. And this place is malleable, and it's the mind that's doing it, and all is mind in this place. What do you think of the field of quantum mechanics? Obviously, you looked into that in the past. So do you think that it is real? See the double split experiment, for example.
Yeah, it's real. I believe quantum mechanics, because it can actually explain a lot of the extraordinary abilities that the children have and can do, and also explains the power of the mind. It's quite interesting and fascinating.
I've seen this realm, what it is, and it is geometry. And if you get right down to it, I can see the pixels that build this place. I can literally see them now. The tiny little colored dots, many, many of them, that make the construct. And I really do think if you get down to the fundamentals, even like with the atom, I think that it's opposing toruses, like a north and south opposing magnet, a switch. And if you get right down to it, if it is switches, that's exactly the same as a computer, which means that there's some sort of technology at play, which I think there is. And I've seen it. I've seen this technology, this geometric technology, this pixelated reality that we're in. I've seen it. And it glitches. And it's changeable. There's things in history, there's timelines that are very confused. There's stuff that's just overlapping and makes no sense if you follow the official narrative. Like, no sense at all. Civilizations all vanishing off the face of the earth with little evidence to what happened to them. Oh, they all had famine. They all killed one another. We don't actually know, because and I mean all of the ancient civilizations have vanished. So what happened? And what's resetting civilization? All of the classical world got smashed into smithereens. What did that? A biblical flood? I doubt it was 14,000 years ago, though. I don't think any of these long periods of time actually exist, because I think there's only the now.
I see.
That's what I think. That I could be wrong, but I think there is only now. Can't prove otherwise, can we? You can't prove there's all is not mind, and you can't prove that all is not only now is all there ever is, because that now is all there ever is. The past is gone. It's figments, isn't it? It's just in our mind, isn't it? and that's interchangeable from what I can make out. And people have fake memories too. That's another thing I've noticed. Different recollections for historical events. I've noticed people got different recollections, have seen it differently. That's something going on with that as well.
Yeah, I would be curious what you think about the book, Theory of Prophecy, because it really, I list on the part of who was Christ, explaining the biblical stories and events. So
Let me just show that.
it's quite interesting. Yes.
Yeah, you're not the author of this book. It says this German dude, isn't it? Is it? Is that
No,
right?
he's French Australian.
French Australian.
Yes, the
Just show.
German dude is the author of the other book.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just share this screen. I can show the peeps what we're talking about. This is him here.
Yeah.
How would you pronounce that?
Michel de Marquet.
Can you see that on the screen at all?
Yes, I see it.
Oh, jolly good. Excuse me. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the subjects then. So Bermuda Triangle, super interesting. I think that's where they're just dumping rockets. That's where keeping everyone out of the way. So Golden Planet and its people, beautiful with vibrant colors, miracles performed. Are they all blonde?
On that planet, yes, they're all blonde.
Something with that.
But there are different planets, and he actually saw different ETs too that are not blonde.
So how did he do this in his astral sense, did he?
No, he went there physically.
Physically how, exactly?
They took him from his backyard, had him on their spacecraft, and flew to their planet. And using a speed that's faster than the speed of light, and also using technology called transubstantiation.
Yeah, space folding in itself, and it's not actually going anywhere. Yeah, because to break, 186,000 miles per second. I'm not sure. Sorry, Samuel. It's just like I could say this, couldn't I? And I don't even have to offer any evidence. All I got to do is say that it's happened, haven't I? So that's it, isn't it? It's not giving us any direct evidence. As a lawyer, you should know about this. So
it's just like it amazes me that the book contains a lot of specific descriptions on the tomb of Jesus in Japan that no one knew about. He wrote a book in Australia and he never been to Japan. And he wrote a book in 1989 before the age of the internet. So there's no way for him to write such specific detailed descriptions about the tomb of Jesus in Japan. And also, he wrote about the U.S. military Project Westford, the project that sent out hundreds of millions of needles in space. How could he have known about this? He was just a landscaper in Australia who didn't have a lot of education. And this US military project was in the 1960s. And it was not on the internet back then. There was no internet back then. And nowadays, not a lot of people know about this, but he had very, very accurate descriptions on this specific US military project, especially about the fact that the US military was trying to build a time machine as well. And
like with the Eldridge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's on the screen now.
So there are so many details that I was able to verify, such as the antibacterial effect of blue light, evidenced by Harvard Medical School. He wrote about that. And there are just so many things about ancient civilizations that made a lot of sense.
That makes sense, the Lemuria narrative, because, obviously Easter Island being down in the corner here with these anomalous stones and civilization. And then you got, all these places in Peru and Chile with, the Atacama with all these, the Nazca lines, for example, and all these other places. So, yeah, I sense there was an advanced civilization and, it could have been. I have posted about Mu, and there are clues in the narrative that Mu existed and Lemuria as well. and then there could have been a terrible, or they say Easter Island, there you go, a terrible cataclysm. But 40,500 years ago, that's a little bit more than what Graham Hancock is saying with his 10,000-year-old, 10,000 Ice Age narrative for Göbekli Tepe, etc. I wouldn't say that. I would say the reset happened like less than 500 years ago, Samuel. And they would, like, you know, they always add zeros on the end, don't they? You want to put it in a far off distant place so that we can never reach. Same with stars, isn't it? They're like light years away, aren't they? So we can never actually, they're in the past. Or if you look into the redshift, they're in the future. But I'm just saying, God is God. That is a bold statement. God is God. What's that mean?
That means when the Bible talks about the creator of the universe,
Yeah,
that is God. But when the Bible talks about the Jehovah's or the people who came in contact with the chosen people or people like the Hebrews, that's not God. That's actually the ETs from Jehovah or Jehovah, and they were responsible. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
And they were responsible for a lot of the biblical events, such as the destruction of the two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, Exodus leading Moses out of Egypt, and also the birth of Jesus and the resurrection of Christ.
It's mad, isn't it? I wonder why Moses took 40 years to get, like, you know, a 13-hour by car trip. I wonder what happened there. Do you think they had one leg shorter than the other? And they were just walking around?
Yeah. Actually, Exodus occurred.
You know, that makes sense, doesn't it? That
Yeah,
they
yeah.
walked across that.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
So that sort of makes sense. I think AI has wrote the Bible. It's very convenient, you know. You mentioned the council. They mentioned the Council of Nicaea here, and you know the narrative that we got from the Bible, but you know the King James Bible. But it is, you know, if all of this is playing out every reset, Samuel, okay, then the character that was in that reset at that time, who was Jesus, then that character would be somewhere in the realm now, I think, or the soul of that person would be here. I think it's here. And they say it's a second coming, but I think, you know, this Christ consciousness or this Krishna consciousness or this consciousness, what they're talking about, I think that that's what's going to light up humanity and free it from its enslavement. I think it's coming. So what else has he got? God helps those who help themselves. 100% agree with that. Do you believe in a creator? Do you think there's a creator, Samuel?
Yes, I do.
Same year, definitely. I feel it sometimes as well, all the time, but I can't see it, obviously. And it's pretty undefinable. You couldn't, like, say what it is or what it feels like. They're formally forbidden to serve the meal on the platter. I don't know. So I'm a bit of an Enochian myself. I really enjoy Enochian stuff and the Noah narrative as well. Sodom and Gomorrah. Hey, Moses. What's he saying about that? Atomic warfare, maybe?
Well, it's actually they used a specific kind of weapon to destroy the two cities.
Did you know?
Because,
sorry. Yeah, I know. I do know about that. Sound and vibration made it come down with the trumpets. But they did have the Ark of the Covenant there, which could be a super duper weapon. So US and the atomic bomb. Let's have a talk about that for a second, shall we?
Yeah.
So they haven't had a test since like the early 90s, the Americans, and they were testing them underground for 10 years previous to that. So they haven't really done a surface test for 45 years. So they haven't done a test. So their arsenal that exists, nuclear arsenal, they can get ready, the Minuteman missiles and everything else in an instant, is a 35-year-old untested technology. So why is everyone so petrified of that? And the North Koreans, they successfully tested one apparently in 2015. So the North Koreans, they've tested one. They've got an operational nuke according to the world narrative, but the rest of the West has not tested anything since the 90s. So again, that's pretty bad evidence for its reality, isn't it?
Yeah, but in this case, I was trying to make reference of the fact that Germany was more advanced in developing the atomic bomb than the U.S. during World War II. But because of some reason mentioned in the book, the U.S. was ahead of Germany in developing and deploying the bomb in Japan.
Was that because of what happened with the heavy water plant in Norway being bombed by the cockleshell heroes and getting rid of the heavy water plant?
Partially, and I believe that's probably the case. But according to this book, it's due to the interventions of the ETs because they sided with the U.S. government at that time.
Okay. Well, they were definitely light years ahead of the rest of the world, the Germans, with their technology and their awesome uniforms and everything else. So, there is the narrative out there. They got the information from others, and they did have a bit of fixation with Ushuaia, which is in Antarctica, and the narrative that they may have gone down there after the war in submarines. The old. So they could have been going to other places, what they would call Antarctica. I think that's probably more feasible than, to me, though, there could be, Mars and there could be Jupiter and all these other planets, but like sort of laterally, that's just me though. I don't know. Maybe I'm just MK Ultra mind controlled like everybody else on YouTube, but I doubt it very much. So the tomb of Jesus is in Shingo. Wow, that's amazing.
So there is Christ that really got crucified in the Middle East. But Jesus was the one who couldn't perform miracles when he was young, the one who had a conversation with the teachers of the temple, who went to India and died in Japan. Christ is a different entity that got crucified. Christ was the one who performed miracles and preached about spirituality and about love and about everything else.
I like this Jesus better. He's like the ninja. He's like a Jedi Knight. He's like a Jedi Knight Jesus, this one. I much prefer. The force is strong with this one. Germany developed the atomic bomb. Well, the cockleshell heroes did take out the heavy water plant, but they stayed to the Germans. They had it operational only weeks later. But they didn't, some of the technologies that were available at the time could have done some of this damage of what they say was obliterated cities from carpet bombing. But I think that they had used electromagnetic technologies to its fullest extent. If they're doing it now, they can. They did it. They can. So pyramids, statues and stone structures, the pyramids, eh? Who put them there, eh? I know what you're thinking. Aliens.
Yeah? No. The Great Pyramid of Egypt was actually built by Thoth from ancient civilization.
The Emerald Tablets narrative. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I quite like that. But I think they're actually more recent from another civilization. Ghosts, how can they, if we reincarnate, exist in this realm? Just echoes in the Matrix?
So what happens is that when we pass, our astral body made of electrons will go back to our higher self after 3 days, but only 81% of electrons will go to our higher self after 3 days. The other 19% remains in nature until either one reincarnates or when the electrons are recycled by nature. So when people say that they see ghosts, those are the remaining 19% of electrons of the astral body of the person who passed.
I see.
And because electrons have static energy, so they resemble the appearance of the person who passed. And they also have memories. So that's why they frequently haunt the places they loved or hated.
Okay. Succinctly explain them. I've had some ghost experiences when I was in the Merchant Navy. So human energy field, I think that's chi. I think it's awesomely powerful. We are light beings after all, aren't we? So what else does he say? Warnings. Let's have a look. Dangers, money. Oh God, yeah. The root of all evil. Politicians. How do you know when a politician's lying? They just open their mouths. Journalists. They're causing problems in the evil world of social media at the moment. So yeah, they should sort that out. Drugs, oh my God, that's detrimental to humanity. But you've got to take the right combinations, which I think is a technology anyway, an inner technology. Religions, dear. I'm actually a Christian. I was christened, Samuel, and I am a Christian. And I wouldn't say that Jesus doesn't exist. And I do think that there is God, the creator, the Lord, the creator. I do think all of that is true. So the religions just take control, don't they, of the mind? And you know, like you said, the original Jesus, he was not the Jesus of the Catholics, was he? So if nothing is done about noise, catastrophe is certain.
Because noise damages our astral body, because our astral body is made of electrons, and noise has certain vibrations that damage our astral body's electrons. So that's why it actually hurts us when we reincarnate, and also to our psyche as well. So that's actually more dangerous than our physical than the physical harm that we have. Noise is
yeah. Everyone should really behave then, shouldn't they? And act right. You're just hurting yourself, but I knew that anyway. I think this place, Samuel, is a mirrorverse. I think it just mirrors your thoughts, feelings, and emotions outwardly. You know, when I'm feeling groovy, the world is always groovy. And if I do, which is slim chance, feel crap, then the world will be rainy and lots of people die. Technology is dragging your civilization down. Yeah, I think it's done a really good job in thinking it's going forward, but really I think it's going backwards and the wrong way, pushing it closer and closer to moral and spiritual catastrophe. Definitely, Samuel. Definitely, I agree with a lot of this. It's good, you know, it's good philosophy. I like it. Shame he couldn't thought it up himself, and he had to get it from aliens from a far-off world. Blonde aliens too. Like Jesus, he was. I see what he's doing. Yeah, Jesus is a blonde alien, isn't he? Samuel, that's what he's doing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Penny just dropped. I don't know. But there's some evidence in this life. My whole reality, I would tell everybody. No, man.
Yeah.
It's just, again, knowledge is power. Ain't no ever true. And the root of all causes of certain diseases. Okay, by the Anthony William explains change of your diet causes cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. And he tells you how to get well. Yeah?
Yeah.
A good formula for getting well is positive mental attitude. And all of these things, they won't even show. I notice it's like when people mention racism, right? It's like, well, it's only a thing because you said the word racism became a thing. And I see the same with illnesses. I noticed it in COVID, I did. I thought, well, suddenly it's a thing because everyone's talking about it. And I noticed that with illness as well. If they bang on and you get like, I remember when AIDS came out, we got millions of posters everywhere and everyone was petrified of catching AIDS. And they told us that everybody we knew would know somebody that died of it. And here I am, 50 years in the future or 40 years after the event and never encountering anyone of that nature, which is really weird. So I think they do a lot with the mind, especially with the old neuro-linguistic programming. That is evident all over the place. Color therapy, I use that. Let's see what I can see in there. Is that a magic eye picture?
Yeah, that's the color therapy clothing that I'm trying to develop to have the colors on the wrong side, on the inner side of the cloth, so that it has certain vibrational effects on the skin and the astral body.
So my eyes are being detracted to the right-hand side. I'm wondering why this AI female is sort of lifting a topper. Is that what's going on there, Samuel, or am I just imagining things? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh my God, what we got here? Type. Oh my God. He's doing a lot of good, but he's wrapping it all around a big fear stick, Matthew, Samuel. He really is, especially when it comes to diseases. I agree with some of this, though. Right, Illuminati. 334% lies. Wow. And
this book is highly disturbing. It has a lot of descriptions of the rituals, which is cruel and terrible. I don't suggest anyone with a faint of heart to read it.
Okay, well, I would definitely not be putting that into my consciousness then, 100%. What's this? Personal stories, finding angels from my professional work, fund managers, cannabis vape markers, etc. Samuel, you're a lawyer.
Well, it's just like, I don't encourage people to smoke cannabis. However, one of my clients is a cannabis vape maker. I don't.
So he's a vapist.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just want to try to insinuate certain ideas onto different kinds of people, and I don't mind being with them or joining them, and trying to make my messages across. So I can join different groups and organizations, and trying to do the best I can. For example, I would join people who are totally against my personal belief in order to try to see what's really going on.
Yeah, I'm happy to listen to you. I'm grateful for your company, and thank you for being here anyway. Yeah. So you can see Samuel's into a lot of stuff, guys. Check all this out. Wow, you got a lot of stuff going on, my friend.
Yeah.
But motivating the audience at a subconscious level. So that's what it's all about, brother. So yeah. So have you got any events or anything organised? Are you doing the alien events this year, or what are you up to? You got conventions ongoing?
Yeah, I'm going to a disclosure event to present some of the things I learned so far in Florida, and it's July the 16th. That's my presentation.
Oh, well, that sounds really good. I'm off to Venice on the weekend.
So I see.
Flying out to Venice to a flat Earth meet, where we're going to go to the top of St. Marco's Tower with P900 cameras. Okay, and we do distant shots. Okay, and then we measure it up with what they say is supposed to be the Earth curvature chart, and then seeing if it's possible, which often is not the case. So we're going to do that and have some fun with that. So. Anyway, that's been an hour and 13 minutes. I think we'll round this up shortly. What do you think, Matt? We're going to got anything else to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to encourage people to do their own investigations on the narratives of the government or scientists, and to look inside for answers.
Yeah, that's what I do. Thank you for that. And thank you for being here. I'm glad you approached me and contacted me anyway, because I was listening to you on that little hangout, and I thought, yeah, I quite like this guy. He's really good. And then you reach out, and I thought, well, that's just like another one of those little psychic prompts, Yeah. So I thought, well, yeah, let's make friends.
Great.
Yeah, Matt. So thanks for being here, Samuel, and thanks for putting up with my my questioning behaviour. But that's just me.
I like it actually very much.
Well, you're a lawyer. You should be quite that's for sure. So thank you everybody for being here. I will basically be posting this very shortly anyway, maybe even tomorrow. Okay, but I have another show to go. So thank you, Samuel. Thank you everybody in chat, and I'll see you all very, very soon.